Hey guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Warriors trade proposal lands $158 million star as Klay Thompson replacement. This season showed the Golden State Warriors can no longer rely on Klay Thompson as their number 2 behind Stephen Curry. With Thompson set to enter unrestricted free agency, the Warriors could pivot to another direction and acquire a younger player to replace him. Sporting News Stephen No proposed a 2-for-1 trade plus picks with the New Orleans Pelicans, who are looking to shake things up as well. The Warriors could pounce on the Pelicans' desire to revamp their roster after New Orleans' first-round exit in the Western Conference playoffs. I want to be really clear, this is not going to be a summer of complacency. It's time to get better, Pelicans Executive Vice President David Griffin said during his exit interview. Mark Stein reported that the Pelicans could use Ingram as their trade chip. Pelicans Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations David Griffin has all but promised that New Orleans will be active in the marketplace in the wake of a first-round sweep inflicted by the Thunder, and league sources say that Ingram's exit is increasingly viewed by various league observers as an inevitability rather than possibility, Stein wrote in his Substack newsletter on May 12. For No, Ingram represents a potential Thompson replacement and a reliable 20-point scorer behind Curry. Steph Curry and company still might have one last run in them. They didn't have a reliable second scorer on the roster, leading to a massively disappointing season. Ingram could give that to them and be a good replacement in case Klay Thompson departs in free agency, No wrote. Ingram will enter the final year of his $158 million, 5-year deal. The Warriors would have to exercise their team options on Paul, $30 million, and Moody, $5.8 million, to match. Both Thompson and Ingram are coming off down seasons. But Ingram, who is still 26, has more upside than the 34-year-old Thompson. Thompson's roller coaster season saw him come off the bench for the first time in 12 years. He finished the season with modest averages of 17.9 points, 3.3 rebounds, and 2.3 assists across 77 games, the most he's played since returning from Achilles injury. His scoring dipped to its lowest since his second year in the NBA. With the Warriors reluctant to pay him big money, Thompson is being linked to the Philadelphia 76ers and Orlando Magic, 2 playoff teams from the Eastern Conference, who have cap space this offseason. On the other hand, Ingram had his worst season since getting traded to the Pelicans from the Los Angeles Lakers. Yet Ingram's worst season in 5 years, 20.8 points, 5.7 assists, and 5.1 rebounds, still trumps Thompson's production this season. Interestingly, Ingram's struggles started at Team USA under coach Steve Kerr, who benched him in favor of the shorter but stout rebounder Josh Hart of the New York Knicks. Ingram's confidence dipped and it cascaded to the NBA season. However, in retrospect, Ingram looked at it as motivation to get back to his all-star form. From Team USA up to this season is probably the worst that I've been in a New Orleans Pelicans uniform, and I'm motivated by that, Ingram said during his exit interview. I can go back and I can blame coaches. I can blame everybody else but myself, but, I've got to go look at myself in the mirror and tell myself what I really need to do. How can I help this team? How can I help the coaches, and how do I get the fans in New Orleans to believe in us again? And that's my job. That's my task. Despite Ingram's down season, No believes the former All-Star wing is the Warriors' best path forward to contend again. If Curry is still capable of playing like a top-5 player, then this could be the move that gets them back in the winner's circle, No wrote. 2 best players Warriors must re-sign in 2024 NBA free agency. The Golden State Warriors are entering an off-season of uncertainty. The last 2 seasons have proven that they are not title contenders as currently constructed. Perhaps that could signal that trades could be on the horizon in the Bay Area. If the Warriors do make some trades, that would put a bigger emphasis on retaining their players in free agency. There are at least 2 such members of their roster that qualify, and Golden State should make sure they retain them. Golden State's biggest question to answer this offseason very well could be what they do with Klay Thompson. Thompson is not the franchise pillar that Steph Curry is, but he is close. He's been there from the beginning and has 4 championships and a number of big moments under his belt. Thompson is also still a useful player. He isn't the defensive ace he was in his prime, but his frame allows him to defend multiple positions capably. Thompson is still one of the best shooters in the NBA. His shooting percentages, 43.2% from the field and 38.7% from 3, were about the same as his career percentages, 45.3% and 41.3%. He continues to be a major threat in big moments with his jumper. But his asking price as a free agent could be what determines his future in the Bay. He is not worth the $40 million he was making this past season. Thompson's play the last 2 seasons, especially in the postseason, was far too inconsistent to be making that type of money. Including his performance in the Warriors' play-in tournament loss to Sacramento a month ago, Thompson has shot 85 to 229 from the field in his previous 2 postseasons. That number dwindles to a paltry 14 to 66, 21.21% over his last 5 postseason games. Not only has Thompson failed to perform in the postseason lately, but the Warriors also have young players who need minutes. Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, and Tracy Jackson-Davis all played well last season. They proved they deserve playing time and need more minutes to accelerate their development. While that is true, none of them compare to Thompson, even at his advanced age, as a shooter. Golden State's identity has revolved around Curry, Green, and Thompson all together. It wouldn't be the same without one of them. If the Warriors and Thompson's camp can make the financials work, both sides should work to make a deal happen. The majority of the Warriors' roster from this season is under contract for next season, but there is another player who is poised to become a free agent that they should want to retain. That would be guard Lester Quinones. Quinones has largely played in the G League during his tenure in Golden State, but flashed two-way potential this season. He shot 36.4% from 3 on solid volume, 8 threes per 36 minutes, and gets after it defensively. Quinones really was able to showcase these skills at Summer League last season. Quinones would primarily serve as depth for the Warriors, but they could use all the depth they can find, especially if moves are on the horizon. He fits their system with his ability to shoot and move without the ball and wouldn't cost a whole lot to be retained. Quinones was upgraded from a two-way contract to a standard NBA one during the 2023-24 season. The Warriors believe in his ability, and he has shown progress in their program since going undrafted in 2022. Quinones can help this team in the future. The Warriors would be wise to keep him around. Nurick slams Draymond for using KD to diss Suns roster. The back-and-forth beef between Draymond Green and Jusuf Nurick took another step this week. While appearing on TNT's Inside the NBA on Monday, Green threw shade at the Suns center and used his former Warriors teammate, Kevin Durant, to further back up his take. "Suns ain't got no big man," Green said while debating Charles Barkley. "Ain't no big man on the Suns. KD is the Suns' big man." Green's criticism of Phoenix's roster was a clear dig at Nurick, who was the Suns' starting center, but recently was under fire for his underwhelming showing in their first-round NBA playoff loss, a 4-game sweep to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And it didn't take long for Nurick to clap back on X, the site formerly known as Twitter. Of course, Nurick's words stem from the aftermath of Green's indefinite suspension for striking the big man in the face during the Suns-Warriors December clash during the 2023-24 NBA season. "What's going on with him I don't know," Nurick told reporters on December 12. "That brother needs help. I'm glad he didn't try and choke me. But at the same time, it had nothing to do with basketball. I'm just out there trying to play basketball and they're out there swinging. I think we saw that often. I hope whatever he got in his life it gets better. It seemed the two briefly tried to make amends after, but that was short-lived. And the heated back-and-forth exchanges continue, even in each player's respective off-seasons. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Jusuf Nurick? Leave your opinion in the comments.